Hi, this is Liz, and welcome to my podcast, Spiritually Speaking with Liz. Today, I'm joined by the fabulous Sarah. Sarah, welcome, and thank you for being with me.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're so welcome. So, Sarah is the creator of Dare to Dance, and she has completed her somatic shamanic practitioner training. Alongside her Dare to Dance, she offers one-to-one soul soothing sessions. I just think they sound divine. And bespoke ceremonies to celebrate coming of age, rebirth, sisterhood, friendship, and that type of thing. I'm so excited to have you here and to hear more about this. So tell me, what is Dare to Dance?
Okay, so Dare to Dance is fundamentally a gathering of women on a monthly basis in a free, accessible space where we can dance together. And maybe if I tell you why I created it, that would lead to what it actually is. So I've always loved to dance as a little girl, as a young woman, as a teenager. But spaces and opportunities to dance weren't always open. I didn't fit into the ballet dancer. I couldn't follow choreography as a child, but I love that sense of freedom from moving my body and just moving along to my favourite piece of music. Then as a teenager and as you get older and start going to clubs, it's the unwanted attention that might come with dancing, or the feeling of unsafeness maybe in some of the environments that where you're allowed to dance. And again, as you get older, those opportunities and spaces become more limited to a wedding or a friend's 30th and then 40th and so on.
It's true, actually. I never thought about that.
Combined usually with copious amounts of alcohol before anyone has the confidence or the desirability to get on the dance floor. And I think I just knew intuitively always that dancing in the kitchen or in the shower for me was a way of elevating my mood or working something out of my, in the same way as going for a walk or going for a run or physically moving my body will help me think a little bit clearer or make a decision or shift a mood. And dance definitely does that. It's more of a quick fire way to reaching that goal, if that makes some sort of sense. So the actual creative spark that came into my head happened at a dance retreat at the Acorn, where a wonderful woman called Andrea, who is Radiant Woman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She was hosting a tribal global belly dancing retreat day. Forgive me if I've got that back to front. And it was a day of stringing together beautiful choreography to fantastic music. And it was belly dance. It had a real belly dance feel to it. And I loved every moment of it when we were kind of chunking it together. Then when we had to perform the dance in front of the mirror, the experience I had was quite overwhelming. I couldn't do it. I couldn't follow the choreography. I couldn't move the way the other women in the room were moving. And I became and felt incredibly self-conscious. And it was really quite emotional, actually. In that moment, I felt like the little girl that wasn't accepted into the tap and ballet schools or
I get that, yeah.
you know, that felt like I couldn't join in. I wasn't chosen for those things. And yet I had this huge desire and love of dancing. So we then moved on to another track. And she played a piece of music, and it was sort of an instrumental, slow version of a Metallica song that I used to love as a teenager. And she started to show us the choreography. And I just decided in that moment to close my eyes, turn my back on the circle, not in a rude way,
No.
and to just do my own thing.
Wow. And that takes great strength to do that.
Oh, it felt like
courage.
my only option in that moment to stay in the room. It was either to leave the room
Mhm.
and to take myself out of what felt like a little mini trauma, really, um, or to do something different. So I turned my back, I closed my eyes, and I just moved in my way to the music. And in those 4 or 5 minutes that music played, it was as though all those feelings that were stirred up were shifted and sort of moved somatically through my physical body.
Mhm.
And I felt lighter. I resist using the word healed, but it felt like something had been resolved.
Wow.
And in that moment, I thought, oh my goodness, this is what I want to do. This is what, you know, this is what I came here for, kind
Mhm.
of thing. And when someone's really annoying because they've just discovered something and they're really enthusiastic, like running or something annoying like that, and then they just want to share it with everyone.
Mhm.
But then all those voices creep in. Well, you're not an instructor. You've got no training. You have no space. All of those barriers
Mhm.
came to mind. And one by one, with the support of an incredible network of women that I'm lucky to have around me and my family, my husband very much included in that, step by step, Dare to Dance became a reality. So, what it started as a gathering in Sawley Village Hall on the last Friday of every month, where women could come and I would curate a playlist and we would move through the dance together. I discovered that the women felt safer, more secure, perhaps,
Mhm.
if there was some choreography. So,
Okay. Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
My vision of it kind of altered as time went by when I realised what the needs of the community were. I very much wanted women to come and gather and have that experience I had
Mhm.
in that room and just free dance and love it. But the sense was that they wanted an anchor, something to ground into that they could follow, and then they could feel secure to go off in their own way.
So they want a structure,
Yes.
don't they? They want a structure, something to follow so I don't feel so silly.
Yes.
Then they follow the structure, and then I would imagine once they begin to feel comfortable with that, then they can sort of like just push the boundaries and stretch outside the box and know that that's safe, and then begin to express. I'm moving as I'm doing this.
100%.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. So I created the playlist and the framework come side by side. So a simple warm up to warm our bodies up, um, and then a lose your inhibitions kind of dance where
Mhm.
everyone is really silly. And,
Mhm.
you come at this with humour and light touch and play. Um, and then moving into some songs that people will know and be like, oh, I love this. Do you remember that? And bringing back memories. Then moving into music that perhaps is a little bit more spiritual that they may not have heard before.
Mhm.
With a choreography that brings the women together. It might be a group dance, it might be holding hands, it might be moving side by side. Following that with a cool down and moving into a relaxation, which was quite new for a lot of the women that were there. So if you go to yoga, we're all quite used to shavasana at the end of the
Mhm.
session, my favourite bit of yoga. And it was a lovely opportunity for these women to come and to have that moment to just lie on their mat. And I would just say, right, all I'm going to do now is play this piece of music. And you've nothing to do for the next 4 minutes, 30 seconds except lie here. And it was really beautiful
Mhm.
and different. Many of the women were quite used to going to perhaps a keep fit class or a boot camp or
Mhm.
exercise class, that kind of thing. Um, but this was different. There was no outcome. It's not to get fit. It's not to condition your body. It's not. It's not. I don't advertise it as a spiritual thing either. So it's just for whatever you want it to be.
I like that. I really like that. But one thing that I want to say is that you've just said it's not a spiritual thing, but you are a very spiritual person. And everybody that I speak with on the podcast, I have followed their Instagram or I've looked at their Instagram, and you are one of those people because you create the most amazing altars. I call you the queen of the altars. They are always seasonal, they are always different. There's always a theme, there's always light in the form of a candle. Tell me about that. Is that just for you? Does that set the intention for the group? How do you bring that in with the women?
Okay, so thank you for that. And that's incredibly generous of you. I'm not saying that I don't find it spiritual. I don't advertise it as a necessarily. The altar's really important to me because the intention that goes into the creation of the dance is always dependent on what moon phase we're in, the wheel of the year, and where we're at with that. So Monday night was very much, I was mindful that we're in Maybon and the harvest is in. We've passed the equinox. We're beginning to hunker down. And the colours and the foliage and the candles all sort of represent where we're at. I also use goddess cards, which is a new concept. Oracle cards are quite a new concept for people that are coming to Dare to Dance when they come to the village hall sessions that I do, and they add that deeper connection.
Yeah,
because the goddess that we choose can be the goddess that we choose to channel or connect with through the evening. So yeah, the altar is incredibly important. It creates a focal point because for me, it's going back to the old ways where I really truly believe that women spend their social time dancing around fires, dancing around trees. And when we're outdoors, that's what we'll do. At the Acorn, when I deliver these at the Acorn, where I feel like I have more spiritual freedom with Dare to Dance there and can create that real ambience that I'm hoping for. We do dance around the fire pit. We do dance barefoot on the ground. So the altar, when we're indoors, recreates that space and that ceremony. The ceremony of it is very important. I also want the space to feel womb light. So it's always candle lit and fairy light lit so that you don't feel like anyone's watching you. It is so softly lit that we're all in the shadow. And I think that comes with a real sense of freedom. They can see me, but I can't really see them. No one's watching each other. Everyone is dancing like no one is watching.
it's nice that I know I've seen on your pictures on Instagram where you've got the altar, there's the fairy lights, and the only light seems to be a little light box that says Dare to Dance.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so cute. And I think it's important that women, especially the ones coming to like the village hall where this is maybe a completely new concept for them, that they feel safe, that they don't feel too woo-woo.
Yeah.
That they feel it's accessible. And I think once they start that movement, and I'm sure after one session, but then maybe they think, oh, I'll just be curious maybe. I've thought, I've gone back into my head in between and, oh, well, I'm not really sure, but go on then, I'll give it another go. So then they come back and they feel that nurturing environment. And it isn't something that there's about readily.
No. All of the women that come say that they've never been to anything like it before and have never experienced anything like it before. And I think that's the combination of energies that each woman brings. Suppose I've been really privileged and lucky enough to be exposed to some incredible practitioners, yoga teachers, Becky, who I know you've had on previously, her altars are phenomenal, the beauty in her altars. So there is influence from all of my teachers, mentors that I've been lucky enough to sort of travel with, really. And all of that is weaved into the tapestry of Dare to Dance. And then little strands in the universe that you pull in and rebirth in your own unique way.
Yeah, and I think that's important, but also it is all through the lens of you. So you are creating that. Yes, you've got the threads, you've got the ideas from the other people, but basically Dare to Dance is that essence of you, that essence of, I don't feel comfortable here, I don't know what to do, that split second of fight or flight.
Yes.
Do I run? Do I freeze? What do I do? But you chose to turn your back on the other people, on the other women, and think, okay, I'm just going to let go and get into the flow of it in some way. And that takes massive courage to do that in a group, I think, in that environment, because you're not following what you're being told to do.
It's really interesting that you say that, actually, Liz. One of the very first things that we do, once we've gathered in circle and everyone's chatter has died down and all that fizzy nervousness that's going on in the room has sort of dispersed a little bit, the lights are low, and I'll invite the women to lie down. And they often, if it's their first time, they look at me as if to say, we're here to dance. But we just take a few minutes to lie down and just check in and check in with where our mind is at. Is it full of thoughts of what on earth am I doing here? What is tonight going to be like? To check in with our body. Even if I was a dance instructor or a gym instructor, no one knows your body better than you do. You know if you've got a niggle in your left hip or your knee's a bit wonky or there are certain things that you struggle with or you're holding some tension somewhere. So we just take a moment to check in with our mind, to check in with our physical body, and then I will invite them to check in with their nervous system in a way, to calm that down, to ground. And we do send a grounding cord down into the earth, and just the breathing together, and on the exhale, releasing that grounding cord down into the center of the earth to just reassure the women that wherever the dance takes us, we're anchored, we're grounded, we're honoring our own bodies. We're not doing anything that anyone else is doing in the room. We're only here to please ourselves with no desired outcome.
That's nice. So the pressure's taken off immediately.
Yeah.
But I know you, I've known you for some years now from coming into the shop. I know by your energy coming in the shop that you are a great space holder. So you create a space, you hold space, and that's a grounding. I find it hard to explain, but it's a grounding energy. So it's a very calm, steady, lower. If you think of like a musical chord, it's the lower end that holds it all together. And I think you create that space physically, you've done it with the altar and all that, but energetically you create that, and it creates that cocoon, that safety. And I think that's where your power comes with this.
That's really kind of you to say.
I feel that is where, knowing you as I know you, I think that's where you come from, and you're incredibly nurturing. I've got to share a story which I hope won't get you in trouble, but I think it was after the second or third time I met you, and it was the end of summer term.
Yes,
I know what to say. It was the end of summer term, and the kids were having to go to the cathedral, which is at the end of the road where my shop is, to be in service all day pretty much? Or
Yeah, they were required to sing, but then really sit and watch lots of other schools sing for the whole day. And it was a glorious hot sunny day.
it was. So Sarah came in early morning, wasn't it?
Mm.
And sort of told me about this. She said, but we're not doing that. We're going to a local theme park for the day. And I thought, what an
Dear.
amazing mother. And I think that nurturing element where you don't follow the rules. You do when you have to through safety. And of course, you want the boys to have a good education. And I'm not taking away from that. There's no irresponsibility here. But there's that fun, nurturing element, like the mad auntie side that you bring.
My niece and nephew will concur with that.
Yeah. But you bring that in, and I love that. I think that's so important, and I'm sure that's also what you bring in to the importance and the poignance of the dance.
Yeah, I like to think that each woman, I imagine that each woman is held like a cupped candle,
No.
where you're protecting the flame.
Mm-hmm.
And you want each woman in that room to be able to burn brightly and not feel as though anyone is going to blow her candle out. We're all there to support and lift each other and create a space and an opportunity to not be who they are at work, who they are in the home space, but to just be the essence of who they are, unbridled, without any restrictions. Or also, it's important to say at this stage that the accessibility of Dare to Dance is really important to me, and I haven't been able to deliver it in community for a while. Firstly, because of COVID and being indoors and in spaces, and the village hall not being available to me. We did them by Zoom, but it didn't work in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last 12 months, I've been training in my shamanic practitioner training course, and that's taken up quite a lot of time. So I've been really honing and going inwards quite a lot in that 12 months period, and really only facilitating at the Acorn, which has meant smaller numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And allowed me to really explore the depths to which I can go with the work. So to get back into community and back into the village hall, where the accessibility for anyone physically, like it's easy to get into, and the toilets are there and everything else. And also, I don't have to charge in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
People can make a contribution if they're able to. But at the moment, everyone's very conscious of cost, and the idea of self-care or giving ourselves time for something. This to many women will feel very much like a luxury. I get it. Busy working parents, busy working mums, or career women, finding a space to do something as frivolous as come together for a couple of hours to dance and then to pay out money for it. The time is very precious, and financially it's so I really want to make it accessible to people if they're curious and if they're interested to come along and just have a feel of what that could offer them.
That's lovely. So a taster
Yeah.
of what it could do. So we said earlier that you do the one-to-one session. So tell me about that. What if I came to you for a one-to-one, what would happen?
So my one-to-one sessions, and I'm really at the beginning of this particular journey, I feel. The one-to-one sessions, I call them soul-soothing sessions. It's just what came and what felt comfortable for me. The pattern that they've followed so far that I've done has been a witnessing of a story or a situation. Someone will come to me with a problem or a issue. It can be physical, it could be emotional, many levels. These don't have to be deep things, or they can be, very open to that. And we're witnessing it I'm finding is one of the very first and most poignant
Mhm.
things to do. It might be the first time that that person has told that story, a time where they've felt unheard, or they look back at something, a time in their life where they were ill and it wasn't witnessed, or they feel like they've never really accepted or acknowledged it.
Mhm.
There's a myriad, and it's tricky to talk about because obviously there's all the confidentiality and
Of
everything else.
course.
But there's a myriad, a kaleidoscope of issues that we as women have
Mhm.
on every scale. So witnessing it in the first instance, again, I would create an altar, and I usually, I always have that person in mind. I will collect some things from nature. I'm lucky to live where there's an abundance of conkers and acorns and feathers and all sorts. I'll create an altar that feels like it fits the evening, witness the story, and then move into whatever flows. And that can be hands-on, touch, light massage. It can be Reiki. I have Reiki training. It can be drumming and rattling. Sometimes just allowing the body to rest and come into the parasympathetic nervous system and allowing your body to really settle into the story you've just told and take a moment to be calm can be a really beautiful, soothing experience.
Absolutely. And being witnessed.
Yes. Yes.
Somebody's pushed something down, not spoken about it, or it's been ignored
Yes.
by the family or whatever, then to have somebody say, I see you,
Yeah.
I hear you, I witness this happened. I mean, it could be something major, it could be something minor, but it doesn't matter. It's the witnessing of. I'd bet that's very powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I could go on talking to you all day. Thank you so much
Thank
for joining
you.
me. I've loved this and I've really enjoyed it. If you want to get in touch with Sarah, she can be contacted through her Instagram, which is Dare to Dance.
Yes, it's SLS_Dare to Dance. I don't have a website. I don't have any other media channels, and my Instagram is private, so you'd have to request.
I'll put that detail at the bottom in the show notes, or somebody could contact me with
Yeah,
you, and then I can contact you
absolutely.
if they wanted to on their behalf.
And it's just where I am in my journey. I'm allowing for organic growth at a rate that I can cope with physically and time-wise.
Yeah, because you've got a large, busy business.
Mm-hmm.
You've got 2 children. You've got a family life. So, yeah, I appreciate that it's hard working around all of that.
But it fills my cup.
Yeah,
So,
I get that.
yeah.
Totally get that. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Liz.
So grateful that you came. Thank you for listening, and I will be back soon. Bye.